the two monks and the woman. Okay, so this picture was taken in Bhutan, and there were these two monks that were meditating on top of this hill near this monastery. And they looked very beautiful, so I took a picture of them from the back, and then when they finished, I asked if they would be willing to take a picture with me, just because the monk on the right-hand side of me, like so when you're looking at it to the left, as I was looking at him, I had some visions of knowing him before, so it was kind of cool. I thought, I need to document this. So today we're going to talk about this story about these two monks, okay? And what they do is they decide to go on a journey, a 3-day journey by foot to the local, basically the other village on the other side, because they're having a retreat, or to another monastery for a retreat. Okay, and so they set foot, they do their meditations in the morning, they do their chanting, everything, and they leave. Now, one of the monks is an older monk who's been teaching for a while, and the other one is one of the newer monks, that has just joined the monastery. On day 2 of their journey, all of a sudden, they hit sort of like this bridge. And at the bridge, they start to cross over, the river. And all of a sudden, they hear this loud screaming. It's the screaming of a woman. And she's saying, "Help, I'm drowning," right? So they look to the right, and they see that there's this woman who's absolutely naked, okay? And she's drowning in the water. So it seems that she was taking a bath, probably, by the banks, and the current probably took her and swayed her towards the deeper end of the water. So the younger monk looks and he closes his eyes, because one of the vows is to not look at women or touch women, right? But the older monk right away, takes off his robe, jumps into the water, saves her, brings her out, and realizes, she needs to be covered, gives her his robe, and it says to the other monk, "Okay, let's go, we're done." Okay, so they leave and they have another day of the journey. And they reach the monastery. Now things are more silent. The younger monk is huffing and puffing. He's upset. He's angry. He's like, "I can't believe this. How could you be a teacher? You ignored the vow of not, looking at women, forget looking, but you even touched a naked woman and you were naked too." And so he's really upset, and he's just not talking to this man at all. And by the time they reach the other retreat, the older monk is just, fixated on chanting and purifying, and he's super excited to, evolve a little bit more, right? And so he realizes on, I think, day 4 or 5, he goes, "Wait a minute." He realizes that the other, his brother hasn't been talking to him. He's ignoring him. And so he asks him, "Have I done something to hurt you? Because if I have, please forgive me. I didn't realize. Maybe I was deep in meditation, or maybe I ignored you." And the younger monk goes, "No, you have gone against the rule, the vow of, looking at a woman and touching a woman. And I can't respect and honor someone that can't live by the vows, right?" And so the older monk looks at him and he goes, "You're right. You're right. I jumped into the river and I saved a woman from drowning, from dying. And I didn't realize she was naked. But when I realized that she needed to be covered, I gave her my robe to preserve her honor. And then I left her by the banks of the river. But my friend, it looks like you are suffering because you are still carrying that woman in your thoughts." Okay, so the lesson in this, and I love sharing these little stories, and I think some of you have said, we would like to start the talk like this. The lesson in all of this is to understand, one, that the purpose of meditation is to be able to release the past. Okay, so the past is something that chains us down, right? It doesn't allow us to move forward. So we meditate to purify and to let go, right? So that's number 1. It's important to let go of the past. So whatever happened, whatever transpired, it did, but it's important to let that be and move on, because now it's time to attend the retreat and meditate and purify and evolve, right? The other thing is that vows and rules are not meant to guide our they're meant to guide our spiritual path. They are not meant to be our spiritual path. So yes, we have these virtues and we have these techniques that we have, but they are not the end all practicing virtue. And so in this case, this monk was able to understand, okay, the most important thing is to save a life. And that's exactly what he did. Now, the other thing to think about is perception will always vary. Okay, so to the young monk, he saw a naked woman. So he closed his eyes and didn't even realize that he has a duty to save a life. The older one just saw a human being in distress. He just saw a soul, and he saw the opportunity to be of service. Now, we can't say that one perception is right or wrong. They're just different, and we all will have different perceptions at different parts of our lives. So this brings us back to meditating, purifying, and cleansing our system. Now, another thing to remember in this is we should always treat others the way we want to be treated, right? God forbid, if we are ever accidentally drowning in water, I don't think we're going to care if we are clothed or not clothed. I think the first thing we're going to want is, please, someone save me, right? So this is the other thing to think about. It's important to treat others as we want to be treated as well. Now, we also have to think about the karmic law, okay? The minute we judge someone else, we are now setting ourselves up to be misjudged by others in the future. So it's important to really think, okay, can I look at the fact of what really happened? Okay, so this is what the facts are, and then what is the truth behind it? Now, there's something that Master Hector talks about, and this has really helped me a great deal. And he says, the discernment is the active ability to use the calm, cool light of the mind. So discernment requires that we can remove ourselves from the chaos and the anger of the astral body. So how do we do this?